Kenny King, I hope you're doing well, sir. Welcome back to Tuscaloosa.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, I was looking and trying to do some research, and I was talking to Andrew Zal a few weeks ago on this program, and I was looking at that 1999 roster. Man, you guys had a lot of super players on that 99 team and a lot of great leaders that have went on to be high school coaches and coaches in the college game. You look at Kendall Moorhead. I know he's here in Tuscaloosa, but you guys had a really good group of guys, a lot of close knit people on the players on that team.
Yeah, absolutely. We when joining the team, it was a great team, a lot of chemistry, and a lot of great players off that team, and it was, led by guys like Shaun Alexander and Chris Samuels, who were seniors at the time and went off to have great careers, man. But it was great playing with those guys, and I love to learn from them and to try to make sure I can succeed in the game of football and go on to have a career with it.
Yeah, and you think about, I mean, I'm just looking through the leadership and you think about, guys like Chris Samuels, which you mentioned, he's up in Bethesda, up in Maryland, I believe, coaching. Terry Jones, I believe, is over in Georgia. Andrew Zal's at Calera. I mean, you go through the list. There's Jason McCaffrey. He's living out in Arizona. He's a pharmacist out there. And so you think about, I mean, that 99 team, man, you guys were a solid group of guys, and it was a lot of fun to watch y'all win that championship.
Absolutely. You still have Kelvis White that's up in Huntsville coaching. You got Darius Gilbert that's coaching. I mean, it's it's a lot of guys that went off and got into the coaching world, man. And but a super great time. I look back at the '99 team. It was one of those things that we didn't know how good we was going to be that year, and it really came together. And we actually lost early. I want to say we lost to La Tech early, and we was all scratching our heads, but ended up coming back and doing well. Beat Florida twice, beating them in the swamp, and then coming back in the SEC championship and beating them. And like I say, man, it was a lot of memories. It was a great time.
Kenny, as you're sitting around your team there at the head coach at Daphne High School there in Lower Alabama, when you're sitting around with your team, what's that favorite Alabama story that you share with them?
When coaching a group of guys, they always want to know, who's the best player, who you went against, and that's kind of what they always ask, and I always, and then how to get to the next level and what's the experience to getting to the next level. So I always tell them a story about, you gotta rise to your competition. You gotta always work hard to be great, because there's a lot of guys that's out there just as talented, just as smart as you. Share a story with them that I remember going in and my freshman year, and I was thinking that I was a big time defensive lineman coming in the University of Alabama, and I look over and Coach said, Ken, I want you to meet, Mr. Football of Florida, Jared Johnson. This is Mr. Football of Tennessee, Kendall Moorhead, and I'm looking around and I'm seeing all these guys that was just as talented, and I knew then that you don't have to rise to the challenge and compete. So I always share that story with them, and then they always ask, how good was somebody like Shaun Alexander, and I explained to them. I laugh about it and I tell them, it was always don't hit Shaun Alexander too hard at practice, because he's our starting running back. And I remember when Coach DuBose got upset one day and said everything's going to be live. So I got excited and said to myself, okay, this is my shot to truly hit Shaun. And he gave me a stutter step, and I remember falling straight on my face, and I lost that shot. So I can I can say he's a great player.
Hey, there's no doubt. I mean, the guy went on to have a lot of success in the NFL. But I see Kendall a lot on the sidelines. He's doing great work here at the University of Alabama under Scott Cochran and strength conditioning program. And he's probably got a busy time right now trying to get these guys ready for camp coming up in about 45 days.
Absolutely. Talking to Kendall, he does a great job, and he's really involved in that strength and conditioning program, and I'm always trying to get some information from him to better my high school team here in Daphne. And he loves it. He always tells me about the talent, and he always jokes about, could we play with these guys right now in our generation? And we know they're bigger, faster, and stronger, but he always laughs and say we play with a little bit more violent. And I told him, hey, looking at them play and winning championships, I don't think we could compete. So, but if it ever came up, hey, we'll try.
Hey, this team, and listen, I've had a chance to watch you guys play. My first year in radio in Tuscaloosa was 2000, and we went through some difficult times with the NCAA, and then I see the players now, and I'm watching these 5-stars get off the bus, and I'm going, I remember watching Minka Fitzpatrick. I'll never forget seeing him the first time out on that practice field, and I saw him, and I was like, there's no way that's a true freshman. There's no way that's a true freshman, because he looked like NFL ready from day one. First time he got on, I was like, there's no way. And they said, yeah, that is a true freshman. But it's the eye test, man. These guys, and I think it's a credit back to the high school football of where you guys have been able to take the game across the country, that these young men show up ready to play at this high level.
Yes, it's all about the mindset of young athletes. I always tell, when I speak with a group of parents or a group, I explain to them, back when we was growing up, we wanted to be doctors, lawyers, fire chiefs, police officers. You ask a young athlete now what they want to be when they grow up, they want to be an athlete, they want to be the next LeBron James, so they are working at it, and they're working at it at a younger age. So they're, and they are getting bigger, stronger, faster. I always put it on what we call the new steroid meat. I told them we grew up on McDonald's and things, but fast food restaurants and things that kids were able to get a hold to at a younger age, that they're just so much developed now. And then you have the supplements that young athletes take, like your C4 and creatine and all that. So they're just now working, and they're working at a younger age to be that top-notch athlete. And I look back, I didn't start lifting weights till I probably was maybe in, ninth grade, coming into high school, and now you have middle school programs starting lifting weights at right after that, halfway through that sixth grade year. So you see those type things. So they gonna come game ready, and in high schools, I mean, we make sure that we put the challenge on them, and we treat them just like college. They have study hall, they have film work. We spend time in the weight room. We talk about nutrition. So we're trying to make sure we develop those bodies to be game ready at the next level.
He's the head coach at his alma mater there, Daphne High School there in Daphne, Alabama. Let's go back to recruiting just for a couple of minutes because I want to work our way to Christian Williams and other players that you can help guide. But let's go back. How difficult of a decision was it to attend the University of Alabama and maybe some other schools that you were looking at when you made the decision to stay in state and go to the Crimson Tide?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. I was actually, was thinking about going to Florida State at that time in the late '90s. Florida State was on top. They was producing a lot of linebackers and defensive ends, and a lot of them was going in the league. And you had guys like Derek Brooks that I looked up to, and I thought Florida State was was a good fit. You know, I'm down here in the Mobile Daphne area, and you're looking at, you know, to get to Tallahassee is about the same distance or even shorter to get to Tuscaloosa. So it was a thought process. But it was a guy named Ryan Cottrell that was recruiting me that was at Florida State. And, again, at one point I was thinking about committing to Florida State. And Coach Cottrell, Ryan Cottrell, ended up leaving Florida State and going to Alabama for my senior year. So he actually was the only person that I was truly in contact with at my junior year at Florida State as he recruited me. And once he moved on to Alabama was kind of my second choice. I just kind of flipped and didn't never look back. So, you know, I remember actually buying a Florida State starter jacket on the Christmas after my junior year. And, again, by the time my senior year came around, I had committed to Alabama, was heading to Tuscaloosa.
Hey, you brought up a lot of memories there with those starter jackets. Man, we thought we were the cool stuff. If you had a starter jacket, you were the A kid on the block, right?
Absolutely. You had to have that starter jacket. You look back, and you know, I sometimes look back at pictures and say, what were we thinking? But yes, yeah, you had some cool points if you had that starter jacket by Christmas.
Yeah, and I was trying to explain to my my producer Marquise. I'm more your age, and I was trying to explain to him the MC Hammer parachute pants, and those were the cool things, man. If you could have those MC Hammer parachute pants, man, you were the cool guy.
Yes, I remember those too. I definitely remember those.
All right, Kenny, let me ask you, what was it like to help guide? And we want you to talk about Christian Williams as a player, because I know you're excited to see this young man, you know, following your footsteps to the capstone. But talk about maybe how you going through the recruiting process kind of helped guide him along through this recruiting process as well.
I remember, you know, 2 years ago, Christian was a sophomore, very talented athlete, and I knew he could be great one day, and knew his potential was through the roof. And he started discussing his, you know, what he felt, you know, and how the recruiting process worked, and we started talking, and I told him, hey, listen, be the best high school player you're going to be. If you're good enough, they'll come. And, you know, he had a great first year as a sophomore, and from there on, he took off. And, you know, we wanted to make sure, as a coaching staff, we try to guide them. You know, we talked about ACT, talking about grade point average, core grade point average, talking about, you know, what's legitimate when it comes to camps and, you know, getting, you know, stars and things to help you get your stars. So, you know, as a coaching staff here at Daphne, we make sure that our student athletes and their parents know how that goes. You know, Christian grew up an Alabama fan. You know, it really wasn't a sell on my part. He grew up an Alabama fan, and he just talked about always growing up an Alabama fan, wanting to go to Alabama, but did not think that he would be highly recruited by everybody in the country. And once he kind of went on, I think he took a lot of visits. He went to Georgia, he went to Tennessee, he went to Florida and Florida State on unofficial visits just to kind of see. But at the end of the day, you know, he came to me and said that, you know, being in Alabama was in his heart. And I told him, you got to follow your heart. And I told him it's kind of the same thing with me. But I know one thing, we got a talent head towards Tuscaloosa, and I can't wait to see him put on that crimson and go to work.
Does it help you as a high school coach? Because now we've got an earlier signing period, and a lot of these kids are making decisions in the summer where, you know, we did official visits more like, you know, January, February, or early February, you know, December, you'd go on an official visit. A lot of these kids are doing it in June and July. during this open period. I know it'll be the quiet period that'll be ended up here in a couple of minutes, the dead period, a couple of days. But does that help you as a high school coach maybe get some of those distractions out of the way when a young man commits and he's able just to focus on high school football?
Well, it works on some on some parts, but on the other parts, it can affect other kids. So a kid like Christian Williams, that's highly recruited, going and commit, signing early, is one of those things that he will be able to focus on his senior year. But you look on the other side when that student athlete that feels like, hey, I should have a scholarship by now, but he hasn't solidified that scholarship, and and he's out at practice and he in games trying to make something happen versus playing a game and being like best high school player it can be a distraction. So you kind of see it on both ends. So you look at trying to prepare for a season. So you look at it, we're trying to prepare in the spring and the summer, and then a person that's being highly recruited taking all these trips when they should be with their team, preparing for their senior year. So, you have your positives and negatives, but ultimately, I felt like the earlier they can sign and get it over with and get it done, it just provides opportunities for the guys to get on campus early, maybe graduate early, get in that spring, and see how quick they can develop to get on the field.
Kenny King visiting with us. Final question, Kenny. From a coaching perspective, what do you see in Nick Saban that has allowed him to be as successful as he's been? 5 out of the last 9 national titles here in Tuscaloosa. What do you see in him from a coaching perspective that's allowed him to be this successful?
Man, just to me, just being smart and bringing good people and great coaches on his staff. I mean, you see so many coaches come and go, and he's always been able to adapt to the situation and always bringing in good coaches, surrounding himself with great people. Generations is changing, and he's bringing in guys that keeps up with the generation, and he's done great. It's one of those things as a coach. We try to, as a high school coach, we try to take as much information and much knowledge from Coach Saban as possible. And you're looking at, once you start talking about who's the best that ever done it, and who is when it comes to coaching on the college level, I mean, you have to talk about him and talk about the things he has accomplished in these past years. So I give my hats off to him on the things he has done at the University of Alabama, man. And, I was just excited to see more. I tell you what, my parents used to always say, they enjoy rolling with the tide. But I definitely say the same thing. I was able to attend all the national championships, and my wife has been to all championships and playoff games. So, I say keep it going, and I'm enjoying rolling with the tide.
Hey, well, listen, we enjoyed catching up with Mr. 55. It was great to see you at the University of Alabama during the playing days, and you guys had a great team. And like I said, in 1999, when we have that 20th anniversary coming up, I guess next year, we'll look back, and they may have to push that reunion to December, or we might have to have a college football playoff reunion because most of you guys are going to be coaching high school football. So it'll be hard to get all you guys together during an actual game week. So hopefully we can have that at one of these college football playoff sites. So, Kenny, thank you again, and best of luck to you there at the head coach of your alma mater in Daphne. I appreciate you spending some time with us talking Alabama Crimson Tide football. Thank you for the conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.